Alright, thanks for your patience, everyone. It looks like we are now ready to get started. First of all, as a quick reminder, I'd like to thank you guys all for joining us today. My name is Ian Schaefer. I'm one of the Senior Product Specialists here at UDA Technologies. And today our goal is going to be taking you guys through some of the new features that are going to be available here in Construction Online with the new navigation options and everything that we're going to be releasing over the course of the next few weeks or months. Now, of course, today, as we're looking through these features, we are going to be recording the webinar so that we can make it available on YouTube, so that you guys can all come back and revisit this many times. This is also going to be the first in a series of webinars that we host this week and next week, covering some of these new features and what you guys have to look forward to within the next quarter. Again, I'll be taking you guys through some of these new features. My colleague Sydney is hopefully going to be able to keep up with you guys on the questions side. So as we go through, she'll also be flagging some of these for me to talk about and what have you. Now, again, brief little bit of background here for UDA Technologies. As a company, UDA has been providing software solutions to construction companies for almost 20 years. And in that time, we've gathered up over 500,000 users. We're spread out across 80 countries now, I think. And along those lines, we've been providing these kind of solutions with a lot of different details and tools and everything like that for years and years. Back when we first started selling software in the late 90s, I think it was predominantly Microsoft Office based. It evolved into a full desktop suite called Construction Suite, which was first released back in 2006. Construction Online made its debut back in 2009 or thereabouts, which has been, since UDA Technologies first started providing software, it's been wildly popular, easily the most popular software package that we've released. And we get a lot of client feedback from obviously almost 500,000 people, and we're looking to provide some new ways to do things like bring your team on board, to have everybody looking at the same content and working on the same page, and providing all of this utility through a web-based platform here in Construction Online. Now, with some of these new designs, of course, you'll see a lot of those key features, those really popular features that we've had available for a long time, like the world's fastest scheduling, although it's even faster now. We've got new estimating tools, or some of the pre-existing estimating tools that do integrate with programs like QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop through Socket. You'll find a lot of the great app-based interactions here as well for things like punch lists and daily logs and job site photos and things like that. What we're providing today is just a slightly different way of accessing the information and sharing it between you and your team and the extended team and vendors, subcontractors, some of our customers, and some of these people as well. Now, to begin with, quick recap here for Construction Online. For those of you guys who are familiar with it, when we switch back over to the classic view for Construction Online, most of you will probably be familiar with where we have access to the features down the left-hand side. Things like, again, estimating, scheduling, calendars, punch lists, selections, one of our more popular features there, change order management, and so on. All of this information has been available on the left, and we have some company overview tools above, like this newsfeed. This is a wonderful tool for going through and providing you all of the detail and the content for what's happening right now, what's overdue, and what's up and coming. This news feed is one of the many features that's available within Construction Online that really gives you the kind of that broad eye view of how the company is doing and how everybody is coming together for the work that they're doing. You'll also find similar features down in the calendar section for Construction Online. When you go to the calendars feature, it takes you to the wide company calendar, all the different projects that you guys are working on, all the custom calendars that you might be organizing or trying to keep up with for your team and vacation time and whatever else might be included. You'll find all of these calendars available here under the calendar feature. You'll also be able to go into and take a look at different groupings for different resources and things like that. Each project can be turned on or off as needed. Different feature types can be turned on and off, and so on. If you go back up to the top under latest activity, you'll see all of the different things that our builders are working on, or maybe my own team, files that are being uploaded or moved or adjusted. You'll be able to see project communication like messages, or maybe under project tracking. We've got some log entries and things like that. What you'll find is with Construction Online, it does a fabulous job, a really great job of focusing in on some of the features, some of those key pieces that you guys are going to be working with, and allowing you guys to drill down into some of the content. Now, the new layouts for Construction Online provide a lot of similar options. When you go take a look at the company calendar or the company overview tools, you'll see some of the same features, especially up here at the top where we've got a company overview. Again, just like that latest page or the news feed, it's got a lot of this information going to collect together so that you can see how the company is doing from the 30,000 foot view. We also have the company calendar on here as well. Again, right here near the top, click on the company calendar and you can see all the different jobs that we have going at any given time. You can turn on and off all the activities, and it's all available right here on the calendar view where you still have these great day views, week views, month views, year views, and so on. Again, company view as a whole. You'll also see all the company's leads here under lead tracking. When you come in and take a look at the lead tracking features, you've got some filters that can be applied. We can check the pipeline, and you can customize this pipeline again, and you'll be able to go through and see all the different people that we're working with here, even filtering it down to the sales rep responsible. So again, as you're looking at this, we have some similarities here, some common themes between the classic view and the new view for Construction Online, where we want to make sure that you guys are able to see how the company is doing as a whole. And that's, for a lot of us, that's going to be one of the first things that we look at as we log into the Construction Online account. And therefore, we have it right here near the top. You'll also notice that with the new navigation, not only are you able to navigate into some of these key features up here at the top, but you can also see, you'll find some of the little subsections that are going to be right here as well. You can now show or hide this little categorized side panel. And when you go in and take a look at some of the additional features like the lead calendar, it gives you a slightly different view or a slightly different breakdown. So you're going from the big view on the left to a slightly more refined view in the middle, to the specific content that you want to cover on the majority of the screen over here to the right. So again, big view, refine that view, take a look at what we've selected in this case to review, to look at, to talk about, and so on. Now you'll also find on each of these views the calendars, contacts, files. These are my files, as you can see, kind of like the My Documents section on your computer. Not project specific. None of this tends to be project specific here, but all of this is going to have some, again, shared options up at the top, like the help menu. If you guys needed to go through and find some little resources or guides to maybe explain some of these features or some of the content, you can go to help, or you can use the help button down at the bottom. You'll also notice that there's going to be a search bar here at the top. It's always going to be there in the new navigation, this search bar, and it allows you to search through everything for whichever page you're on. So right now under lead tracking, if we go up to and search here for a specific lead, it'll filter down what we're looking at to just that individual lead. The same thing would happen on any of the other pages that we go to. So again, here we have lead tracking. If we go back and again review the classic view for Construction Online, and we go to the lead tracking feature here, you'll see a lot of this shared information, this shared concept, and these are some of, again, the more popular features that people have been working with. These carry through to the new view for Construction Online, and you'll have access to them in the same way that you guys have been using them before. Now, where things change, where some of the new navigation for Construction Online is going to maybe improve or change the way you guys interact with the system, is now going to be a little bit more project-driven. So as you go through and you take a look back at the initial Construction Online section, you'll see over on the left-hand side that we have company information or personal information up top. And I'm pointing at the screen as if you guys can see that, but we'll try to use the mouse to highlight it as well. You have each of the company or individual information up here at the top. And then we start to get into project-specific detail as we move down. Now, one of the most important things that we have to work with here is we now have the ability to favorite projects in Construction Online. These favorited projects are always going to push up to the top of the list. So if you're running your company, but you have a couple of jobs that you want to pay particular attention to, maybe they're the big projects that are going on right now, you can flag them. You can come down and select one of these projects and choose to make this project your favorited project, and it'll add it up to the list up here at the top. Now beneath this, we'll show all of the active projects. One of the things that most of our users have been asking for pretty heavily is the ability to group these projects, and now you'll see these project groupings are going to start to show up here as well. When you expand out one of the project groups, like commercial projects or multifamily residences, remodeling projects, you'll see everything that falls under this categorization right here. And the beauty of this is you can actually take any of the new projects that haven't been categorized yet or grouped and drag them and drop them into some of these project groups that you guys have, or the project types, to help better organize all the work that you guys are doing. Now, these project groups or project types, you'll see that my model for these types tends to follow the type of jobs that we do. I have some commercial work, I have some multifamily work, we've got some residential projects. We group all of this information together here so that we can see how each subdivision of the company is operating. Now, some of you do the same style of work regularly. You may be a custom home builder, or you may be a remodeler or something like that. If you're a remodeler, maybe we break it down into a little bit more detail. Bathrooms, kitchens, additions, garage conversions, whatever it might be. Those could become your project groups here. You may also, or your project types perhaps, you might also go through and categorize these or organize them by project manager perhaps, so that you can expand them out and see how everybody's doing. But the options here are very, very wide. You guys have the ability to go in and adjust these and set them up to whatever fits best with your company and helps you better organize, again, all the jobs that you're working on. Now, again, as you're looking through this, all the project types, we've got uncategorized projects under here, or projects that don't have a specific type associated with them yet. Then we dive into our list of archive projects. Still the same kind of types here that you can work with, but the beauty of this is you'll be able to see the list of archive projects, but they're not cluttering up all your work. Everything is going to be project specific up here next. And as you work through these projects, you'll be able to click into one of the projects and take a look at the specific details for the job. Now, one thing that I think some of you guys have already started looking through here is you guys are, you're noticing that one of the old navigation features, or several of the old navigation features, aren't showing up over on the left-hand side. On the classic navigation, we have pro features with all the estimates and the game plans and the schedules and things like this. As we move over to the new navigation for Construction Online, all of that information is now going to be found within the projects that contain this content. So now that we've selected one of our favorite projects here, the Canberra Residence, this is usually the one that I talk about the most, we've got the preview screen or the overview screen for the job where you can see, again, this is what we plan on having this completed project look like. We've got address information, lead details, we've got weather tracking turned on, we've got the map for the location. The project is live, we're working on content for it here, and all of our recent activity for this specific project is showing up right here on the overview page. From here, we still have some options to kind of customize the layout. Of course, if we don't need the project details, hide that, expand out some of the activity that our team is working on. Again, same as before, you can go through and click on each of these to see what was done or uploaded or adjusted, or expanded back out again to work on some of the additional content from there. Now, kind of like the classic view for Construction Online, when you click on the project itself, it gives you a lot of information to work with, and we've broken most of this information up now. We've kind of separated it out into each of the major headings that we're going to be working with. Now again, in classic Construction Online, the classic navigation for it, you had a lot of team members working together to make this job happen. A lot of people. Could be vendors, could be subs, could be customers. We're hoping everybody that touches this job will be involved in the project, and to see that team, the next tab over is going to be the team menu. Now, when you go into the team itself for the job, you'll see company contacts, client link, this is our customer for the job itself, team link contacts over here, and basic users will all be available in here. And it basically just organizes all of these different people so that you can see who's interacting with your project and how they do so. All of this information is going to be available right here on this page, and you'll be able to go through and adjust the settings and permissions and everything like that for some of your users or some of your contacts right here on the team screen. So after we get the overview for the job, the next most important is who's interacting with that job, and then we dive into what's important for that job. Now again, for any project that we're working on, documentation is hugely important. all of our content needs to be available on Construction Online, and we need to organize it so that it's shared out with all the people who are going to be involved in the projects. Now, in order to do this, we have a new Files screen that allows you to better organize all this information that we're working with. As you go through and take a look at some of this information, you'll find, again, over on the left-hand side, still we have the job separation here. Next in, we refine this information a little bit more by selecting all project files, recent project files, or going through and reviewing what has been deleted or trashed. As you move in, this is what we've selected to review. Again, files, photos, some of the new content and organization, and you've got a couple of different ways to organize this information as well. For those of you using Windows, you probably know that there's the detailed list, or you can go with a grid view for this documentation. The grid view just helps organize the information a little bit better, and it also provides little previews for some of the content that we're working on here. From here, you can also click into some of your folders, which you'll notice that it starts to dive into a little bit more detail. We've got some previews of some contracts and proposals and a little puppy here. And as you guys go through and you work with the information, you'll see a lot of the content here. But this is where it gets fun, actually. Because now that we're looking at all these albums, now that we're looking at the documents, if you need to add anything new, you can drag a file. Oh, let's just get one here. You can drag files and drop them directly onto this screen to add new things to the project. From your desktop to the folder, just drag and drop. Nothing complicated. You don't have to hit upload or update or anything. You just make this information available here. Now from this screen, you can also go through and make a few additional adjustments to where the content is available. Let's say, for example, this proposal, I want to make this proposal available in the plans folder. Same thing, just drag it, drop it into the folder, and now it's going to be showing up in this plans folder where you could then share the folder with your customers to make the information available to them from there. The beauty of this is, again, we're simplifying most of this process of organizing the data. You don't have to move files around any longer. The classic view is still going to have those abilities. You check the boxes for everything that you need to move, select the new location, and go from there. You'll also be able to click on the drop downs next to those files and still edit those folders and files and what have you. Now you can do a lot of this work through the right-click menu. This isn't something that you'll find in very many websites. Most websites, when you right-click, it interacts with the browser's right-click menu and it gives you all sorts of crazy options that nobody understands anyway. We've taken this over on Construction Online, and with the new navigation, you can actually right-click and download your content, move it around, copy it, share it, move the files over to Client Link or Team Link if you need to share those, and you'll be able to kind of work through some of the additional content and see it from there. Again, this right-click menu, plus the ability to drag and drop throughout the files page, two of my favorite things that we're working on with this new feature set. And again, as you guys start diving into this new navigation, you'll be able to go through and work with this, and it's going to make a little bit more sense. It's a little bit more familiar to what we've been working with in Windows. Now we've got that information built into your web browser directly in new navigation with Construction Online. Now again, as I mentioned before, you'll also have the option to go through and delete some of these files. Instead of removing them altogether, you'll actually find a trash area here in Construction Online now. This is just like the recycling bin on the computer. When you select to delete something, it's not immediately gone. Instead, we move it over to the trash so that you guys can go in there and recover if you guys accidentally delete the wrong files or anything like that. Same thing holds true for your photos. From the photo gallery side, you'll be able to go into and take a look at some of the items, the images. You've got the ability to organize a lot of your documentation and everything like that in the photo section where, again, you can download, you can share, you can edit the images, you can even add comments where you can see that content over here. And from the thumbnails, you'll also be able to drag and drop images around to reorder them and pick what's most important for that album to share with everybody that you're going to be working with from there. Again, files and photos, super streamlined. You guys will be able to really organize all of this information exceedingly well. And as you're working through that, again, drag and drop new images from the desktop into all of this, all of these new albums, new folders, whatever it might be, and gather up some of the new detail and some of the new content, and then rearrange everything in those albums right here. Super simple. Couldn't be easier. So as you guys are working through this, all of this is going to be available through files or photos within the project that we're working on. Now, again, as before, with Construction Online, we're going to step back to the classic view for a moment and take a look at some of the additional details that we have. Again, in Construction Online Classic, you'll be able to go into and see a list of all the estimates that you guys might want to work with, or templates, or some of the additional content here. When you click on one of these estimates, again, it's going to give you the option to view the estimate details and go through and adjust some of the different contracts and some of the different documents and things like that, or the estimate information, the contract view, the job cost budget view, the invoicing view, and so on. In this estimating feature, you're going to be skipping from estimate to estimate, navigating through from one to the next, and it's very feature driven in this case. With the new Construction Online navigation, under Financials, you'll find all of this different information provided for you on the job specific level. So here within the project, since we're in the job, we have, again, a list of different options that we can look at for the financials. We can look at the estimates, which include the different views: contract generation, job costing, the budget, and the invoicing views here. Or we can come into and take a look at client selections, change orders, and financial reports, and it's all part of this job. So in looking at the job, we're going to be navigating into Financials next, where you can see a slightly refined view for the estimate. Let's hide that financial category section here, and each category is now broken out into its own section, where you can see all of the different components, the parts, the pieces, the quantities, the costs, everything else that's going to be included. All of this is going to be available straight from this view with the additional summaries over on the right, so that you guys have the ability to go through and take a look at all of this information here. Now, same as before, as you're navigating through, you're still going to be able to use all the same keyboard-friendly options as you're working through it. As you're walking through creating new content, you'll notice that we still have the add category links and subcategory links in the same places, but now we're creating new sections to work out of, and the information is organized in, well, I certainly think that it's a smarter way, with the summaries over on the right, so that you guys can always have a quick bird's eye view for how we're doing on a big scale, while we're drilling down into the specifics on a smaller scale here. You'll also notice, if we go back to the financial categories, that the estimate is comprised of a number of parts, or the financial for the projects would be. We do have the job cost estimate here. We're looking at how much we plan on spending on these additional sections. The client selections, in this case, would be where we're going to add in all of our allowances and organize all of this information to share with the customer. We provide them an allowance for selections that they might be making, and as you go through and expand these selections, you'll see all the different choices and everything that you guys are working on here. And as we're working through this, again, all of this is going to be available under the financials. We'll also have adjustments to the contract here with change orders under the financials. And if we wanted to see profitability or anything like that we're working with, all of the financial reports are going to be here as well. Now, it looks like we are still adjusting how the QuickBooks integration is going to be available within this package here, within the financials screen, which is why we don't yet have the QuickBooks Online integration, unless I'm missing it somewhere. But I suspect that the QBO integration, or the Xero integration, or the QuickBooks Desktop options and the financial details will probably be available here. But again, keep an eye on this. This is sneak preview that we're looking at today, so there will be a few slight or subtle changes to this, and you'll see some of these additional things showing up as you're working through the new Construction Online interface, or the new navigation. So again, most of the information is going to be available right here. From financials, we may skip on next to calendars and schedules. Now, if we're following some of this project work that we've created projects. You can see these projects on the left. We're stepping through, and we've got an overview for the job where you can see the team for the project and some of the files, contracts, photos, walkthrough documents, maybe a copy of the plans perhaps. All of this is going to be available through files and photos and the team itself in the overview. On financials, we've got our budget for the project and the estimate. Under calendars and schedule, this is where we're going to be creating our appointments, our meetings, our get-togethers with the subcontractors, so that we can do weekly meetings and measure progress. You'll also be able to not only see the project-specific schedule here, or the project calendar, but you can dive into the project-specific schedule too. Now again, with the old navigation, or the classic view, we have the schedules available, and you've got your list of schedules, and you can see everything that's going on from your list of schedules. This is much more project focused. So as we're looking at this project-specific view, you've got the calendar for the project, you've got the schedule now for the project here, and as you're going through and working through the schedule, you'll have all the same great features in the scheduling system, like baselines, like predecessors, like the critical path that you can map out. You can adjust schedule start dates and end dates. You can move things in and out of groups. All of this is going to be available to you here. And with the project schedules on Construction Online, you'll be able to step through the different views and see where you stand on any given project right here live within the job very easily. You always know where you are because it has that big title for the project up top. Now again, here we have that world's fastest scheduling. We're actually adjusting the speed a little bit to make it even faster still. So as you're working your way through this, we're enhancing some of the navigation and some of the movement within Construction Online so that it takes even less time to load than it did before. We already beat everybody, still wasn't good enough for us, so we're speeding this up as well. We're enhancing this to improve everything that you guys are working with, especially since the large number of you guys are probably going to be updating schedules from the field. With that said, you'll be able to open this up, make those adjustments directly from a tablet or a Surface, maybe a Microsoft Surface Pro, or maybe even your phone through the browser itself. And as you make those adjustments, it automatically saves. You guys probably already know this. It automatically updates all the reminders and the notifications as well, and it automatically updates that project calendar so that as you're looking through this, you can see all of the additional information that we're working with here. Now again, this is a job-specific view. So as you're navigating through, you've got all the different options to go for day views, week views, month views, but this one's filtered down to just this project. If you wanted to go back to the big, broad company view, just step back up to the company calendar and you'll see everything going on. Again, this is hyper-focused. We're looking at just this job to see where this job stands. So you can see the project schedule, you can see the project calendar, and you can even run some additional schedule reports from here as well. So a lot of this is going to be forward-facing tools. What will the financials be? What is our estimate for the job or our budget? How does the calendar look? What is the schedule looking like? What % complete are we at? As we start to work through this, we've even got some of the contracts and documents and everything like that in there. Next up might be communication. This is going to include some of those key features like messaging, call logs, project announcements, RFIs, submittals, and transmittals for those of you who are commercial users, or maybe the residential corporate perhaps, or network maybe. As you're working through this though, you'll notice that any conversations that you're creating, those email threads that you might be sharing with your customers, all of that is going to be available here through the project messaging section, either as active messages or archived messages. You can step back and forth between these. If you archive your conversations, they're still online, they're still searchable, they're still live. They're just set aside in a different space so that they don't clutter up what you're working on again. With the active list, this is going to be all of our current ongoing conversations. The full list is here, still searchable. We still have that search bar up here. And the search bar always applies to the screen that we're on. So if we're searching through messages, just type up here what you're looking for, and it'll pull up the messages that apply in the search screen. For project announcements, these are the all-important announcements that we've got for the job. Things like we're preparing to break ground, or maybe you're sending out an announcement requesting bids to be uploaded to Construction Online perhaps, or maybe you're setting new timelines or adjusting schedules. Whatever might be included, those project announcements will be created here, and all you have to do is click to create a new announcement. As you put in the subject line, the message that you want to have in there, and the priority, you'll start to click next through the screen to include people on this announcement and to potentially send out emails for everybody who's going to be involved. Or you can just post the announcement to the project and let them come to the system to see what's going on. Either of these would be available to you there. You'll also be able to go through and post call logs to this section as well. Again, think company or project specific information for these jobs. You'll be able to come into the call log section here and start to outline everything that's happening with these projects. You can organize the information. You can start keeping track of emails that you sent, phone conversations that might have been had. You can even just come in here and post notes in there for a piece of a conversation in a sales meeting perhaps. All of this information is going to be available through call logs. And then as you start to build out the additional information from there, RFIs become available in this section. You've got the ability to create new RFIs or organize all the details, take a look at a summary view for those RFIs. Submittals will work in much the same way. The content here for the submittals is going to be similar, but you'll notice on the new navigation, some of these new features with the Construction Online section here really provide a much better way of organizing the information or keeping up with the details that we're looking at in this case. You can even go through and click on each of these different sections to kind of refine what's going on. If you've got a list of things for this job that need to be fixed, maybe those are all going to be submittals that require corrections. You can come down to and click on the section here for making corrections if it comes up, or revising and resubmitting submittals. Take a look at all the rejected submittals and figure out why. All of that information is going to be here. The caveat to that, though, is you can see that most of these are grayed out because I don't have anything that fits that type. Now, because it doesn't fit that response status, I don't need to click on it. There's nothing to pay attention to, so it's not even clickable. But if you do switch back over to the ones that could be sorted or clicked through, you'll see the additional options opening up so that you can see what's important, what we need to focus on, or if we need to collapse this down to focus more on the RFIs, we can do that too. Submittals in this case. Now the same holds true for transmittals, and again, we've got the reporting capabilities in here as well. So as you're going through and you're working with this, same thing as before. We're still focused in on some of these key pieces. We've got the jobs over on the left. In my case, my favorite job, the Canberra residence. Then we go into the next section that we're working on here, which is going to be communication with all the different communication types and options. And as we select one of these, it refines it further into this transmittals section. So again, you'll notice that we're working from big on the left to a medium size to the one specific thing here as we refine down. This, again, carries through over and over and over again as we work. Now, this is a lot of the new content for communication. Again, RFIs are still going to be here. You'll find the submittals and transmittals here as well, but this is also a key place to go look for conversations that you're carrying through the messaging system or emails, phone calls, call logging that your guys are doing through the mobile app, and all of this information is going to be available in here as well. And again, you'll see some of this content showing up right in this screen so that you guys can go through and take a look at or report off of this right here. Now, the last key piece for each of these projects that you guys are looking at is of course, probably one of the most important sections of Construction Online, in my opinion. We're looking at project tracking. Now, project tracking is what has probably thousands of times over saved companies who are working within the Construction Online company or the Construction Online system. As you're working through these projects, things come up on jobs. As we're looking through some of the details for these projects themselves, you might have guys that are going out and doing the installation for a project. Maybe they're pouring concrete today for the foundation, and they want to take a quick video of that to prove that everything was structurally sound as they were pouring that foundation to make sure that they're covered in the long run. In that case, under daily logging, we might go into something like a work log and post not only the notes for that, but we could attach something like a photo or a video file, or even just a signed contract or a document or something like that as well. All of that could get posted in the work log. Again, this is all available in app form too, so the guys are going to be doing this from their phone. You'll just be able to see the results of it here. You'll also notice that we've got weather tracking turned on for this job, so it's keeping up with all of our weather conditions here. It's a gorgeous, partly cloudy day here. It's very warm. Maybe it is 60 degrees. It's a little bit more cloudy now than it was earlier, so it wouldn't surprise me too much. But as you go through, you'll notice that it's keeping track of active weather. So of course, if something's different, you can always click on the weather tab and post custom weather delays if they've come up. So this might include something like, again, if we have a storm clouds blow through and there's a lot of rain and lightning and everything like that and flash flood warnings, and maybe the guys just run inside so they're not covered in muck. 20 minutes later, they go back out there and start working again because it's cleared up, because that's how it works here sometimes in Alabama. You could just post a quick weather delay there, 3:30 to 3:45. Maybe the guys were getting in and out of the rain and they went back out afterwards. For some of us, you might end up posting more weather delays like bad snowstorm, or when the season hits, maybe tornadoes or hurricanes are coming through, or maybe we've got some clients up in Seattle that said that they have fresh snow days. They take days off when the snows have fallen and they've got clear skiing for the first time for the first days of the season. Maybe that's your custom weather delay. Whatever it might be, you guys can come into and post those right here into the project logging section. Could be the same thing for just general notes, materials used on the job, deliveries that were made, equipment, whatever it might be. Again, under the daily logging section in Project Financial, or in Project Tracking rather, you can post those notes. All the information becomes available to you guys here. And again, you can report off of this. The team is going to be plugging it in from the mobile app, so it'll tie right into this as well. And as you guys are working through it, you can report off of all of this even years later, which is when it might become the most important for you guys to cover some of your project completion. Especially common with commercial builders. You guys have to keep all of this documentation and this information available. With Construction Online, we'll save it all for you, make sure that it's available should you guys ever need to come back to and revisit these by date, by month, whatever it might be. You do have a day view and a month view here too, so you can see how everybody's doing. Now also on this project tracking section for the project itself, we're still in the Canberra residence here. All of this information is front and center for project tracking, and the next up on the list would be our to-dos. These are just quick one-off tasks, quick little things that we need to make sure that we get done or have done. It's already finished. Some of the additional details that we're working with in this case are going to be available right here in the to-do list, again through the mobile apps as well. You'll notice as you're going through and adding new tasks that there are going to be quick access tools or quick adds. You'll be able to go through and see what kind of progress we're making on this job and check everything off right here, or assign new resources. Who's got to go out and get this done? New due dates, these should always get plugged in as they're worked, or you can set % completion in here as well. Maybe we scheduled a meeting but we haven't met with them yet, so we could just click into this and set it to maybe 25% or 50% or whatever it might be. Now, of course, as we start to get a little bit more structured than these one-off tasks associated with the job, you'll start to dive into things like punch lists. Now, a lot of us probably think of punch lists as one-off tasks. Sorry, that's to-dos. The punch lists are a little different. Those are going to be your closeout punch lists. Most of us treat the punch lists as that. I say most of us. I personally prefer to set up these punch lists ahead of time to kind of cover the scope for each of my trades. Now, if you guys take that approach too, then what you can do is you can go through and add in new sections, new folders for those punch lists. Maybe the folders become the phases for the job that you're working on, and then the punch lists themselves within them become the checklists for everything that you guys are going to be inspecting as you go. If you do like the idea of using them as closeout punch lists, maybe we still do them as part of the inspections, but we also step through some of this information as we go through from there as well. You can build the punch lists once again through the Construction Online mobile app. That's going to be available through the App Store or the Google Play Store. Just go search for Construction Online, all one word, just like you see it up here at the tab at the top. In fact, the icon is even going to be the same there as well, so you'll know you found the right one if it looks like that. And as you work through that, you can build your punch lists, you can take pictures and attach them to the punch list, you can even use the voice-to-text options directly through your devices so that you can just dictate anything that needs to go onto that punch list, finish it out, move on to the next item, and go from there. All of that through the punch list system allows you to organize what has been done, what needs to be done, or any issues that you might have with the tasks that are quote-unquote complete. So as you see this information coming through, again, you'll see all the content. It'll all be right here available to you guys in Construction Online under the project tracking section. And all of that is going to be available in app form as well. So keep an eye on those. Make sure that you guys have those mobile apps downloaded. Again, it's Construction Online. It's an all-in-one app, and it's built for your company users. Those of you guys who are organizing things like project managers, site supers, lead contractors, whatever it may be, all of these guys will be able to go out and grab this information directly through the mobile app based on what you've given them access to, and they'll be able to get to it through the mobile app, find it in the exact same place here with Construction Online. Now, of course, with this, you're going to find most of this content available in the new navigation coming up in the next few weeks to months. Now, we're going to be using the list of attendees today to actually provide a little bit of early access to the new Construction Online navigation features. All these great things that we've talked about today with some of the new options to get into and like really dive into this new way of thinking with Construction Online. This is going to be available. Those toggles will be turned on, and we'll talk to you guys about how to get access to it here. If you are interested, make sure that you say something here in the webinar today. Now, we're not going to be able to turn it on for everybody right away, and we're going to be talking in a little bit more specific detail here in the near future with our upcoming webinar series next week. Monday, I believe, we're going to be covering calendars and schedules in much more detail. Wednesday is, Sydney, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe that's going to be estimating and financials, perhaps. We're also going to be taking a look at the project tracking in more detail and communication on Friday. So Monday is set the job up for success. Wednesday is make sure that we're making money on these jobs. And Friday is make sure that the guys did everything that we asked and more, and those jobs get closed out well. So make sure that you guys talk through all of these things. Make sure that you join us for those webinars starting at 3 o'clock Central on Monday with the calendars and the scheduling. And we'll go from there. Now again, I believe this is going to wrap up most of what we have for you guys today. I think I may have just overdid the, we might have just overdone the list of questions there for Sydney. It looks like you guys are all interested, which is really, really exciting. Can't wait to get it out there into your guys' hands. And keep an eye out for the little toggle up at the top. You'll notice as I'm going back and forth between these, when you have that early access, you'll be able to switch back and forth between classic and new just by clicking on the toggle at the top. It'll take you into the project, into that feature in the project that you guys were looking at, and it should be able to take you through from there. Looks like in this case it's just taking us directly into the job, which is pretty darn good too. And as we work through this, again, you'll notice that we've got a list of projects over on the left. Use this to navigate. Get more specific with this section just inside of that projects list, and then take a look at all the detail over here on the right as we work through it. You'll also notice that in the past, where we had the drop-down arrows to the right or the edit options over there for the settings on the job, now most of this information is going to be available in drop-downs attached to the job name itself. So pick your job here, adjust the details for the job from the drop-down, and then if you ever get a little lost or you have questions about how these things operate, don't forget you guys have tremendous resources here with the little help button in the bottom right hand corner or the help drop down up the top. You'll also be able to go back to the classic view for those of you who are more comfortable with it right here. Just switch back into COL Classic and it'll take you back into what is perhaps the more familiar classic view for Construction Online. You want to switch back over to Construction Online New, it's right there. You guys go ahead and jump into that as well. So with that, I'm not at all surprised to see so many people interested in going with this new version because, again, I'm super excited about some of these new options. I think some of these new areas to work with are going to be great. Some of what I consider to be the oddest or most exciting things about these are even the simple little drag and drop options. Some of these things are really innovative. They're really cutting edge, and it's really, really going to make your life a lot easier as you guys go through there and work with this new stuff. Now, with that said, I believe this is going to wrap up what we have for you guys in our webinar today. So don't forget, Monday, we're going to be diving back into calendars and schedules in the new navigation. That's going to be starting at 3 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. If you guys can, sign up for those. Those pop-ups should be going to you guys pretty quickly. You'll also get the emails. Take a look for those emails if you guys want to register through the link in the email itself. For those of you who have still got some outstanding questions, we'll be sticking around to answer some of those as we go. For those of you who are super excited and ready to go, ready to get out there and talk to your team about it, I want to thank you once again for joining us. Guys, it's so exciting to have some of these new things coming out for you guys, and hopefully we'll get to see you and talk to you guys again on Monday. Until then, though, thanks so much for joining us today, and you guys have a wonderful afternoon and a great weekend. We'll talk to you really soon. Take care.